Welcome to part 29 of the 2018 NFL Draft and Review. Today we will be taking a look at the 2018 Los Angeles Rams draft class. And today will be a little different because, as you'll notice, I do not have any YouTube tabs open. This is because I didn't really find any players in this class that really stuck out enough to really take a look at them on the field. So this will be just a little shorter and quicker than usual, I think, as we start with their first selection from the third round, offensive tackle Joseph Noteboom. And while he has started a decent chunk of games out of when he's been on the field, this guy's pretty much just exemplified just major injury problems. Torn ACL, MCL in 2019, calf injury in 2020, a torn Achilles in 2022. So, yeah, it's one of those pieces the Rams seem to want to keep around, but it's also one of those ones that you better have a pretty good backup because this guy is basically just a walking time bomb, it seems. So, the next selection is center Brian Allen, and Allen has been another one who started a good bit of his career as well, but it would appear that he's gotten some injuries and COVID things as well. So the Rams also haven't seen fit to keep him around. He's also ended up with, I believe it's no, he's still with the Rams. I think the other thing is that no, that's a different player. Okay, whatever. So it's an interesting one. See if he can just stay on the field as well, but I don't have the greatest confidence in that. Their third selection, defensive end John Franklin Myers, has been a bit of a late bloomer. He didn't really do too much until he ended up with the Jets, where he's been the primary starter for the last 2 seasons. And he's done pretty well in picking up sacks from a largely interior position. Could do a little better in terms of tackle for loss because that is ultimately the job of the defensive tackle, to make sure the running game can't break through. But I would say that he could possibly do even better in terms of getting to the quarterback. So this is one of those we'll wait and see how he continues to progress type of players, because he does seem to be getting better as time goes on, which is obviously a good thing. But so far, just haven't really seen enough to merit bringing him up on a highlight reel either. So next we have linebacker Micah Kiser, and Kiser had a somewhat decent run in the NFL, but it's really not anything too special in terms of the stat lines. It's mostly from one season where he helped in the Rams. I believe that was their Super Bowl season. I think it was actually 1 year short of that, so, okay. That's rather unfortunate, honestly. You do reasonably well in a replacement role, and then you just you're not able to stay around and end up on another team while your first team wins the Super Bowl that season. Tough break there. Then they took another linebacker, Agbania Okoronkwo, and this one's another one, I think, as far as I remember, hasn't really done too much. He had a bit of a semi-breakout last year, starting 8 games for the Texans, but that just draws some questions for me, because if you got to end up on the worst team in the league to start looking somewhat passable, then let's see if you're actually gonna remain a factor in on for that team. So we'll see what happens with him, but I really would be surprised almost if he can do that again. So, like I said, it's going quickly because I don't got a lot to say for this class. It's not very good. We have running back John Kelly, another didn't do anything sort of player, and that's even with Todd Gurley's knee issues that arose. He just couldn't establish himself as the backup. Bounced around the league a little bit. Not really much to see there. Next, we have pretty much a one-off player. He's now playing in the XFL, offensive tackle Jamil Demby. And, again, I'm not really sure if I'd consider that a player failure because the Rams' offensive line was a little bit better than it is now, back when he was selected. So that's kind of give him a little bit of slack sort of thing, because it's not... It was unrealistic for him as a sixth-round pick to do more than sit on the bench for a while and then fade off. Next, we have defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph Day, and Day is probably the best player from this class. He's been a starter pretty much his entire career. He's the one that I got a little mixed up on because he's the one that went to the Chargers, not Brian Allen. So... overall, this is, like I said, pretty much the best player that's come out of this class. Pretty much a career starter to this point. Doesn't put up a lot of sacks, but he is pretty good in getting tackles. Tackle for loss numbers could be a little better in some of these seasons, but the 9 he put up last year is pretty respectable. So, as long as he can maintain this, he's a reasonably good piece for the Chargers to have. Not anything I would say that's super special, but one of those kind of underappreciated players in a sense. So, next we have the last 3 selections. None of these guys really did anything. Defensive end Trayvon Young. As I recall, he was moved to linebacker, and since 2020, he's been out of the league playing for Canadian football and one of the arena football leagues, I believe that is. Then we have 2 linebackers, Traven Howard, who, he's managed to stick around on the team as, backup depth, I guess you'd say. But other than that, he's not really done much. Probably the biggest thing that he's had is the interception he made in the NFC Championship game. And the final selection is Justin Lawler, and he's been out of the league since 2022, pretty much. Yeah, this is just one of those practice squad guys that never sees the field, and thus nothing really to say. Now, you'd think, considering how brief of a video this is going to be, and the lack of really anything I've had to say for any of these players, no highlight videos, no nothing, that this would be an F class, but I originally gave this a B+, and on account of at least the guys that have been able to play, I'd bring this down to about a C-. There are some decent players here. It's just one of those classes that there's nothing flashy, nothing special here. You've got a bunch of role players, positional guys, the really unsung heroes of any good football team. So like I said, I'd give this about a C-, and I would ultimately say that while the Rams did end up winning the Super Bowl, this is a pretty good start in terms of the picture of why the Rams are where they are right now, which is, tied for the worst defending Super Bowl champion in league history. So, but that will do it for the video. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit the notification bell, follow me on Twitter, and I will be seeing you tomorrow. Yep. I always mess this part up. What the hell? Oh, I did it again. Can you tell that I do this in the morning when I'm not fully awake? So, I will see you tomorrow for the 2018 Seattle Seahawks draft class.